Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Pan Am is a game I just got on a lark. I like buying games at Target and supporting that, and Prospero Hall and the Funkoverse always does a good job with their games. So I was like, hey, it doesn't look like something I necessarily like, but I'll take a chance on it. And boy, was I blown away. This is kind of a root building game, but sort of as Pan Am kind of takes over the map as it goes. It's all about managing that money and that one resource that you have in the game, upgrading your airplanes and kind of get the routes out and trying to score as much money as possible so you can buy as much shares in Pan Am as possible. And I have to say, I really like this game. I think the components are really good, especially for a mass market game. The rule set was very strong. Once I was in, everything kind of flowed and makes sense. I like the worker placement. I like the bidding that's in this game. And I feel like this game stole what was really good about 10 or 15 different games, put it into one game, and it worked. The Frankenstein works. I don't think there's anything overly unique here. I think it is what it is. I think it works in that regard. But I have to say, I really enjoy this game. And it might be something I'd recommend over Ticket to Ride. I like it that much. So I've seen Prospero Hall with Horrify put something out. Pan Am is really good. This might be one of my lighter games to go to and to exchange and play with other people. I think it's very strong. I like the route building. I like how Pan Am, and it's not only what routes you want, but based on what cards you have and how do you want to utilize that hand management of the cards, but also as Pan Am takes over, it can be very profitable for them to take over your routes. So you want to think about how you're going to be paid off for that and where it is going based on the dice roll. Then you have that stock market that's going up and down. So if you see the stock market's on 3, which is the lowest price, you want to generate as much cash as possible this round because you're never going to be able to buy stocks cheaper than 3. And as the stock price goes up, I mean, you might be hoping it's going to go down, but it could go up. So maybe you want to buy it now. And all that kind of guessing and hedging your bets is what makes this game really good. So Pan Am has been a huge success for us, one that I would highly recommend. I think it works better with more players, but we had a great time with 2 also. If you want a little bit more competitive a game, I think 4 are going to be taking more routes and fighting for those things, but you also have less actions to take. So it kind of weighs itself out. Great time with Pan Am, what I can easily recommend to you, and an absolute keeper for us. One of my new favorites, to be honest. So here are the components for Pan Am. I think it's a very striking cover, especially if you have any affinity for Pan Am at all. It's their logo. You have a rule book, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. You're going to get a board, which we'll take a look at in a moment. And you're going to get all of these planes. I mean, 4 different colors. They're going to come in different sizes. These are going to be little plastic planes. I think they work fairly well. What's interesting about these also is that on the wing here, you might not be able to see on the video, but there are marks on them. So it tells you this is a level 3 plane. It's a very nice little detail. These are going to be your little engineers. They're just like cheap little pawns. These will be your workers that you'll be placing during the board. You're going to get cardboard money, cardboard chits for the Pan Am. You're going to get these little trays that come with it. These will be for you'll put your planes in them if you want to use them. These will be cardboard. These are really nice. They sit on the board until these become technology. You're going to have player boards, very generic looking. They tell you the outline of the play. They keep track of your income. They're not cardboard, but they just kind of sit on the board, so they're fine. They're going to get a number of cards in here. You're going to get your destination cards, kind of like Ticket to Ride. These little small Hobbit Directive cards, which are like powers that you can get. Then you'll have your event cards that you'll have. These are very nice. No complaints here. You can see the cardboard is made into a custom case, which is great. And you're going to have one single die here. This will be a custom die with different things on it. You'll be rolling as you go. So very neat. I find the custom inserts very cool. It's a very probably cheap way to do this versus having like a game trays in there. The components, I don't have any issue. The planes are neat. I think the little plastics that you get look really cool on the board. Excellent. Let's set this aside and take a look at the board. This is going to be a rather large board, I guess. It's got 6 pieces to it, and you're going to see. Now, one of the things my wife noticed, and she didn't care for very much, is the unique view of the world. And they kind of did that because Miami's down here. Here's North America with South America down here. It's like it's tilted a little bit. They did that because Pan Am didn't go all over the world, so they just wanted to include where Pan Am was going to go. So Pan Am started in Miami, kind of branches out from that in the routes that you have. You have a place for everything on the board. The workers will go on spaces like this. Everything you need to know pretty much is on this board, which is an excellent use of the board. I'm very happy with this, so great job. So here's the rule book. You can see unique art for the book, which is great. picture of all the components, which is excellent, and an overview. You're going to have these little yellow things, which are little tips and tricks as you go through, which is nice. Set up with a picture of the components there. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And then they're going to go over some important concepts that you just kind of got to know that what makes this game different. I think it's and this is really important. So this right here needs to be digested before you play. That's going to be a large part of the game to know. And then over here, you're going to start the play. This is how the game is set up and how you play through it. And it goes through each step of the game, some strategies for your first time. And it goes through this. Very easy to follow as far as I'm concerned. Rolling the dice is very good. They have examples here. Everything is in full color. End of the game. How to score, and then some clarifications that you'll need during the game. I found this rulebook excellent. I was online talking to a buddy of mine. He said he had some problems with it. I did not. I found the rulebook to be very, very simple and very, very good. And we actually learned this game. I just pulled the book out. I didn't read it in advance. And we just kind of played through it. It was very, very easy. I think you need about 15, 20 minutes to read through the book. Or, honestly, guys, I opened this book and read it as we were setting up and playing. So my goal here is not to explain every single rule, although I may. My goal is just to give you a flow of the game and see how it works. So set up, you're going to have destination cards, you're going to have your directive cards. 4 and 3, those technologies are not out, so they're covering these up, but they'll be released later. And you're going to have your round cards set up, and then you're ready to start. So the first thing you do each round is pull over a event card. So what's going to be important is they'll give you a little thing. At the start, Panem expands once along the Asian path. So you go down here to the Asian path and just put one of these down. I'll come back to this later, but just kind of know that it will have something that will happen. Now, some of these might say, let's get another one here. Starting with the first player, everybody can sell a route or draw a destination card. So there's usually an event, something that will happen that will affect the players. And then here you'll see the stock price. So it's going to say stock price 4. It's going to go down here and you're going to put the stock price on 4. Now, some of these may make, as you can see here, the stock price will go down 1. Stock price will go down 1. Sometimes they go up. So that's what these events will do. So it'll affect the stock price. And it tells you how many dice you'll roll during the expansion phase. So just 1. So each round, this will be counted. There's 7 rounds in the game. You're going to do one of these. There's usually something that will occur. The stock price will be affected. And it tells you during expansion how many dice you will roll. We'll come back to all that. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to have a number of these engineers that will be placed based on how many players there are in the game. And there's some spots across the board. A, B, C, and then D and E down here at the bottom. Let me go quickly over what these do. This one will allow you to put out airports. Airports are important because they basically take effect of a card. So basically, you can buy an airport just to put down on the board wherever you want. We'll come back to that. The second one gives you the destination cards. That would be B. C will allow you to purchase more of these planes that you can use for the routes. D will allow you to put actual routes out on the board. This is how you'll be able to generate income. And E will give you one of these directive cards. Now, for the most part, I'll come back to this, but it's going to give you a directive card, and then next round, anybody who's on the directive track will go first before the first player. So it's like priority access for the next turn, but you also get a directive card. So let's go over what some of these do. So D and E is very easy. You're just going to put a worker here, and when it's your turn, you do the action. These 3 will be bids. If you ever played like Vegas Showdown, it works the same way. So if I go up here and I bid on A, it's $3. Or I'd say I put a bid on 7. I could do that. The next person that would come in could bid higher than me. They would have to bid 9. But I would get my pawn back. So only one person's going to buy an airport. Only one person can get one of those cards. Only one person's going to buy each of the different types. So it's just bidding. Once you're at the top, you're at the top. Nobody can outbid you. That's just the way it works. So after everybody's done putting their workers out, then you will go through each one and you will activate those. So let's talk about that for a second. So if you get an airport, you can literally take an airport piece and put on any city you want. And now you have access to Tokyo. You don't need the cards to do that. The other thing you can do over here on B is if you bid on these cards, you just pick up one of these cards and you put it face up in front of you. The plain ones are very easy. You pay the price and you gain another plane to put in your fleet, okay? The most important thing is going to be the route. They kind of recommend you try to get a route on the first one. So let's talk about how these routes work. So there's kind of 4 ways to build a route. So let's say I want to go from Tokyo to Nome. So this is the 2 that I here. I have an airport here, so I have the Tokyo one, and I have to have a Nome one. So there's a couple of ways that this can work, and different ways that you could build between this route between these two. One way, because I've already got an airport, is I could have the gnome card in front of me. If I have this card in front of me, then I have access to these two terminals, and I could build a plane here. Now, the number in between, this case is 3, would say I have to have at least a 3-level plane. Now, 3-level planes are not available at the beginning of the game, so at the beginning of the game, I couldn't do this one, but let's say I did have a 3 plane. I could place this plane here. My income would go up 3, which is tracked at the bottom of this for myself. That's what these numbers being. My income would go up, and then I would have a plane out there. But let's say I didn't have a gnome card. And what could I do then? Well, if I didn't have an airport, I didn't have a gnome card, then I could give up any green card. I just discard this into the discard pile, and now I would have access to gnome. So if I had gnome, great, I can use it and keep the card. If I don't have gnome, I can give up another green card, but I have to give it up permanently. Now, if I don't have a green card, I give up 2 cards of another color, I have to discard them, and that will take the count of an airport. So there's 4 ways to build a route. I can have an airport, I could have the actual city face up, I could have any green, but I have to discard it, or any 2 of a different color, but I have to discard them. So that's kind of how that route works. And directives here, the last one is you just get one of these cards, and they'll do stuff. So you buy a stock at no cost, upgrade a plane in your fleet, and it kind of tells you have to do that if you go to sea. So you have to actually be on sea and win there. Sell one of your routes to Pan Am, earn $1 for each route you've currently claimed, earn $3, and look at the top card of the event deck. So these are just like events that will help you out as the game progresses. Once again, if you go to Directive, you will be first next turn. After everybody's taken their actions and decided what they're going to do for the turn, then we're going to go into expansion and you're going to roll this dice. And remember, this card is going to tell you how many times you roll it. So this time you roll it once, and this time we would roll it 3 times if this were the current event. So these symbols on here, I'll ignore Pan Am for right now, but the rest of these symbols will be these tracks that you see on the board. There's a certain way that Pan Am built, and you will match those up, and there's 3 different ones. So let's say I rolled this, the ... and then the squares that are in. I would put a Pan Am on the ... one, covering that route up, and then the squares covering that up. If nobody is there, that's fine. The routes just go out. If I had a plane here, and Pan Am took and bought out my route, they would take my plane off. This comes back into my fleet, so I can reuse it again. And that would be paid off based on this chart. So if it was a 1 route, I would get $5. If it was a 2 route, I would get $9. If it was 3 route, I would get $12. And 4, I get $14. Sometimes you'll actually profit off of this. Sometimes you'll break even. Sometimes you'll lose a little money. But you get all of the money now, which is super, super important. So Pan Am is going to expand. Then all players will get their income based where they're at on the income chart, which is very important. And the last thing you can do for the turn is buy stock. And stock is this price down here. And you will purchase stock for whatever price. And you can purchase as much as you want. Whatever money you spend, obviously you won't have for next round for expansion. So you can buy these stocks. At the end of the 7 rounds, whoever has the most stock is the winner of the game. And that's kind of a quick overview of how to play Pan Am. Really quickly, you do an event card, do what it says, and adjust the stock price. Then players will put their engineers or the workers out on the board, bidding in certain places, other places just taking an action. Then after everybody's placed all their engineers, you will do a resolution of all the actions, starting with A, B, C, D, and E. And then Pan Am will expand, you will generate your income, you buy your shares, you do the same thing over. You would do it 7 rounds in a row. Most shares is your winner. Who should buy this game? I think anybody looking for a lighter game, anybody who likes the route building and likes that stock market and bidding kind of aspect that's in this, and it has worker placement. Has a little bit of everything. If you like board games at all, this game probably has something in it that you're going to like. It's a little bit on the lighter fare. I think the rule set is, it's not the lightest game in the world. I mean, this is not a mass, even though it is mass market, it's a little bit more complicated than that. It has a little bit going on. I would say Ticket to Ride-esque level type game, but one I can easily recommend. You probably could play this with your kids 8 and 10 and up. I think it could make a very good family game. If you have someone who's not into games but willing to put a little work into it, I think this can absolutely work for that. And then the Pan Am brand, people who remember that at a certain age may want to play this just because of the theme itself. For me, this has been a big hit for us and a big winner, and one of the top games from Prospero Hall. I was a little surprised by this one because my expectations were a little bit lower than normal, but a home run for us. We really liked Pan Am.